visionary, an entrepreneur, a business owner. You want to make money from your passion and create the freedom that you've dreamed of. But it's slow. The income is slow, the impact is slow, and the freedom is slow. And here's the kicker. You've actually never been busier. You're working longer than ever, burning through daylight, and your family have forgotten who you are. You're tired and frustrated and you can't even sleep well at night. The business just feels so heavy, and all you ever wanted to do was just make the money you want to make doing the things that you want to do. And that's where I come in. Hi, if we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm the host of the Business Acceleration Podcast, where we shift your business from heavy to light, time poor to time abundant, and from income lack to income growth. We're going to achieve it together with my 20 years experience as a psychologist, helping people just like you to break through their barriers. And we're going to throw in a little of the woo as well. So thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Business Acceleration Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so super excited that you're here. Today, I'm going to talk to you about fear, because fear is something that I think we've all experienced in business. And if you're at a stage where you're thinking about opening a business or starting your business, then you might also be experiencing a little bit of fear and trepidation around that too. So don't worry, guys, because today I'm going to share with you my 4-step process that I use for dealing with fear when it comes up for me in my business too. It was suggested by one of my coaching clients today who I was working with. I shared this with her and she said to me, oh my gosh, you have to put this on the podcast. People need to hear this. So it's all because of her. So anyway, that's why we're here. So as most of you know, I have this dog. He's a little Maltese dog. His name's Gabe, and Gabe was a rescue dog, and oh my gosh, I love him to bits. He was caught by the dog pound when he was about 1 year old. He'd been living on the streets in Melbourne for a while. We're not quite sure how long. And he'd been getting fed by people who owned restaurants on this particular road, and he hadn't been treated very kindly by people either. So when I took him home, it took Gabe a little while to sort of settle in and get used to the idea of having shelter and regular food and baths and grooming and, kisses and cuddles and stuff like that as well. But now it's 8 years on, and he and I are best of friends, and we do everything together, and every day it's walks and pats and belly rubs and kisses and cuddles and all this. It's really great. The best dog ever. But if you've got a dog, or maybe if it's not a dog, maybe it's another pet or a child or something like that, you know what it's like when they injure themselves. And it's the worst feeling in the world, isn't it? Well, it was for me. I just felt helpless. I knew that, of course, I was doing everything I could to help, but you want to take the pain away for them, don't you? Anyway, this one particular day, he'd stood on a grass seed, and so I had to take him up to the vet. And this was always a really hard experience for Gabe and I, because, you see, when he'd been caught by the pound, Gabe had to have a lot of surgery because of, the degree of mistreatment that he'd been subjected to, I guess. And it was quite traumatic for him. And now when we go to the vet, he's very easily triggered by those same smells of, I guess, the antibacterial stuff, and it's the stainless steel tables and all of that. It sends him, into quite a tailspin. And anyway, so I bundle him up, we go in the car and we drive up to the vet. As soon as we get there, he knows where we are and he starts barking. There's this anxiety response that we experience. It's fight, flight, or freeze. Well, for Gabe, it's fight, and that looks like a lot of really noisy barking. He just wants everybody to leave him alone. He just wants everyone to back away, stand back, don't come near him. And he's gotten very good at clearing a room with all of his barking. So much so that now when we go to the vet, we have to wait outside because he's so disruptive. Anyway, the vet comes out and says, she can see us now, and she's lovely and she's trying to calm him down. We take him into the consultation room, and he's really nervous and he's shaking like a leaf. He's not barking anymore. He's just shaking a lot. And so she's trying to soothe him and calm him down, and I am too. So I give him a great big squeeze. I'm like squeezing him so tight, just trying to give him every reassurance that I could that he was going to be just fine. And what happened was, after a few minutes, Gabe realised, and he looked at me, and then, he just let out a little bit of an exhale, just like a sigh, and then he just relaxed. His whole body just relaxed, and he just gave in, he calmed down, which is amazing, because then he was able to be friends with the vet, who was then able to take him into the little operating theatre there so he could have his grass seed removed. I got the call a few hours later that Gabe was out and he was fine and he was ready for me to come and pick him up. So I went to the vet's, and would you believe, there he is in the middle of the vet getting patted by everybody, strangers, nurses, other vets. Everybody's saying to him what a good boy he is, how well behaved he is, how brave he is, and Gabe is smiling from ear to ear. When I went to take him out, he didn't want to leave. I think he was just loving all of the attention. And I said to the vet, what's going on? Like, how can you be one way 1 minute and then he's like this the next? And she said to me, it's really normal, Brooklyn. Like, as soon as the animals come here, they know something's wrong, and it's fear that takes them over. They're very, very worried about the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen. And I thought, wow, isn't that interesting? As I was driving home, I was thinking to myself, it's kind of like, I guess, fear for us as business owners. I think back to the times that I felt fearful. It was really too around things that I didn't know. And that's why I thought today what I might do is share with you a process that I've come to use now that helps me. And I'm hoping that it helps maybe one of you as well. I guess the first thing to really think about, though, is this idea. Someone said to me the other day that fear is bad, and fear is your higher self telling you not to do something. So as soon as you feel that fear, that's your cue not to do something. And I have no idea where this person picked that up from, but I said, well, I see it differently, and I think that your higher self, so for those of you who are new to the podcast, I believe, as do many people, that within each of us we have something called a higher self. It's kind of that version of you who's living his or her best life, their purpose, what they were put on this earth to do. And they're living that life that here on the outside world you're trying to aspire to. But I believe that your higher self is always guiding you and always encouraging you, and comes from a place of love, and doesn't talk to you about fear and not doing things and stuff like that. I think it's Gabby Bernstein too who says, fear stands for F, everything and run. And somebody else I read, and I can't remember where I read this, it might have been Wayne Dyer, but it might have been another Gabby Bernstein thing, but it was that the fear also means false evidence appearing as real. And I kind of like that, because that makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, I don't subscribe to this idea that fear is a sign from the universe that you shouldn't do something. No, I think fear is just a sign for you to pay attention. That's all. So here's my 4 steps, and hopefully you'll be able to remember them, and they're going to serve you next time you feel afraid in your business. The first step, of course, is to acknowledge that you're feeling afraid. Okay, you have to recognize the feeling. That's step 1. Step 2 is see it for what it is. Try and recognize what you're afraid of. So, for example, let's imagine that you're going to do a Facebook live stream video, and maybe your fear is, well, what if it doesn't work? What if I look silly? What if I make a mistake? What if I'm in landscape mode rather than portrait mode and everybody laughs at me? What if I'm upside down? What if the Wi-Fi cuts out? What if somebody heckles me? What if I, did I say embarrass myself? All those sorts of things come up, right? So make a note of all of those things that you're worried about. Step 3 is to shift your perspective, because here's the thing. I bet in step 2, the things that you were worried about was all of the things that you did not want to happen. Okay, you don't want people to laugh at you. You don't want to look silly. You don't want negative feedback. You don't want the Wi-Fi to drop out. All of that sort of stuff, right? Fear is when you focus on what you don't want. If you shift your perspective to look at why you're doing this in the first place, why is it important to you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone? Why is it important to you to stretch and do this Facebook Live? Well, I want to do this Facebook Live because I want to reach more people. I want to upgrade my marketing. I want to change the way that I connect with my audience. I want to share a message that only I can share. And this is how I want to do it for those people who don't like to read long text messages and who don't follow my blogs or get my emails. This will be another way that I can reach those people, whatever it is, for example. Anchoring into your why is how you move through the fear. It takes something from being personal and from being about you to being about the bigger picture, or perhaps being about the greater good, or something like that. Okay? And then step 4 is find ways to sustain your focus on that anchor. So if you want to do your Facebook Live because you want to reach that person who doesn't read texts and isn't on your mailing list, and it's important for you to get the message to them because you know that it will help them and you know that you want to make that impact, maybe you do something like you write out your why as a little memo and you keep it in your laptop, or you put it on your fridge, or you keep it in the car, or you do an audio voice note and keep it in your phone, or something like that. Maybe you make a vision board and you find things that represent all the reasons why the stretch is worth it, all the reasons why that push outside your comfort zone is worth it. Okay? And you can use these 4 steps for anything in your business that you feel afraid of. That's another example I could share with you. What about, let's look at applying it for doing something like perhaps signing a lease. Let's imagine that you want to sign a lease on a new building for your business. Step 1, we're going to identify that you're in fear. You're experiencing fear. Step 2, let's look at what we're afraid of. It's a big financial commitment. What if the business fails and I'm still stuck with this big financial commitment? What if I can't make the repayments on this lease? What if I can't rent out all the rooms and I'm the one that's wearing the financial burden of this lease? What if, okay? So as you can see, we're focusing on here all of the things we don't want. Now let's shift our perspective onto why we would be considering signing a lease in the first place. What's our why? Well, I want to get out of my one-person office and build a team. I can provide more services if I have space for new people to come and work with me. I can be of better service to my clients if I'm in a comfortable space that I own. I can, right? All of these sorts of things. Even just now, saying those reasons aloud, it gave me a sense of happiness and a sense of calm and a sense of peace and a sense of ease, and even a little bit of joy was starting to come up in there for me. And so the 4th step is to sustain that focus. So sustain my why, and maybe I might think of writing out all of these reasons, and I might keep them somewhere where I can see them. I might put them in a little frame. I might make a little vision board with them. I might make an affirmation. I might make an audio note. I might ask my friend or my colleague or my mum or someone like that to remind me to anchor into my why when I start to get into that tailspin of fear about the things I don't want coming true. Okay? So, what I would love for you to do, a little exercise, is next time fear comes up for you in your business, I want you to do a couple of things. I want you to follow this process. I want you to acknowledge you're in a state of fear. I want you to jot down on the nearest piece of paper or in your phone, or you do a voice note and say it out loud. Just get it all out. Write down all of the things that you're really afraid of. Okay? Then I want you to have a look and see whether they're things that you don't want to happen. And from that space, shift your perspective back onto your anchor of why you want to stretch yourself in the first place. Okay, really anchor into that and write down your reasons for the stretch. Okay, so thank you very, very, very much for listening to this episode today. Do the exercise and let me know how you go. My email address is just hello@brooklynstorme.com, so it's super easy. You can leave a review. We're on Spotify, Podbean and Apple Podcasts, or you can find me on Facebook as well. Okay, if you haven't subscribed to the email newsletter yet, I will put a link for that in the comments as well. Emails go out every week, once a week, and they always include a free goodie just for the listeners. I don't share these in my groups or on my pages or anything like that. They're just for people that listen to the podcast because I want to show my gratitude and appreciation. So just a quick recap, guys. Identify you're in fear. Understand what you're afraid of and seeing that it's the things that you don't want. Shift your focus onto the reason for your stretch, your why, and find a way to sustain that focus. And then tell me all about it because I would love to hear how it goes. And if you're willing to come on a podcast and talk about it too, I would love to have you on and we can absolutely discuss it more. Thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful weekend and I will see you later. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got a lot of value from it. Help me help others by sharing this podcast. And if you feel called to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, remember to let me know so that I can send you a very special thank you gift. Now go and build your dream business and I will see you next time. Bye.